No helicopters have been procured for me to go to golf course. Thank you.
I never said he wasn't a great politician. I'm just saying he's a officer.
It's supposed to be an interview.
How'd you play out there today?
Well, I found the conditions challenging, mostly because there's no grass on the golf course, but there never has been.
I'm thinking about the swag bag, and I have high hopes for the swag bag.
Trash. When you got 3 crevices on the green, your course is trash.
What's happening, folks? Welcome back. Beltway Golfer, episode 18. Alex Dixon here. No Laying Up. They are a golf media juggernaut that has really taken off over the past 3-4 years or so. It's made up of 5 golf fanatics and friends. Solly, Big Randy, Tron, DJ, and Neil, aka the merch czar, aka Icarito. Why is this episode about no laying up when this is a show about DMV golf? No Laying Up's based out of Jacksonville, Florida. Well, a few weeks back, I caught wind of and got invited out to an outing at Westfields Golf Club in Clifton that was organized by members of No Laying Up's community message board called the Refuge, which I am a recent joiner. I signed up for a handle, simply Beltway on the Refuge, but the amount of activity and kind of hilarious posts and just kind of the community that's built out of the Refuge is pretty impressive. So when I went out to play with the 40 or so folks, just about all of which are local to the DMV out at Westfields, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to talk to a few of them about No Laying Up and why, what the appeal is and why they're so popular, and just talk to some regular golfers around the DMV about their thoughts. So there's the podcast. And then at the end, so I sat down with 4 people at the end of the outing at Westfields. Ian, Adam, Josh, and Ryan. And one of the fivesome of No Laying Up, Tron Carter, aka Todd Schuster, was kind enough to sit down with me as well for about 15 minutes. So that's the podcast. You'll notice at the end of Ryan's segment, I had my first bad file, doing some transfers of MP3s and MP4s, still figuring all this out. Had to pay a Japanese company in yen to repair the file, but you'll notice, or to save the recording, you'll notice the last minute or two of Ryan's part of the conversation, the sound is a bit off, so I hope you bear with it. But it was worth the yen. They were able to save the file. But that's it. This is the Refuge. This is No Laying Up. So it's really 5 interviews in one. So something new for this show. But hope you enjoy it. Episode 18, No Laying Up, the Refuge. Enjoy. Ian.
Yes.
Are you willing to share your handle on the Refuge?
Sure, I haven't said anything obnoxious yet. So
okay.
2 tons of irony is what I'm on. I've only been on there for a little bit, so.
2 tons of irony.
Yeah.
Is there a double entendre or something? Is there somewhere that I'm not getting?
It's something I used. I stole it from, I think it's from Dodgeball way back when. It was Vince Vaughn after Rip Torn gets crushed by a giant sign in Vegas.
Okay.
And he says, I'm sorry, they don't make a card for your your dodgeball coach just got crushed by 2 tons of irony. So it's been like a video game name, or just like
that line rings a bell.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny screen name, and it's
sure. That's funny.
And I'm a fairly ironic person, so it works out.
Perfect. Are you pretty active in the Refuge?
So I think I probably only joined up on actually getting on like the message boards and stuff like that, like probably beginning of this summer. Mm-hmm. So a little bit here and there, but I'm not, it's not something, I've got a lot of stuff going on, so it's not something I check every day, but yeah, I'm on it quite a bit checking stuff, so I'll hopefully get more involved as I get more involved as it is.
I haven't asked this question yet, but how would you describe the vibe in the Refuge, or just like the I don't know.
As far as message boards go, it's definitely on the more welcoming side, I would say. It's like people aren't really out to get you. It's definitely a lot of people sort of rowing in the same direction, I guess is a good way to put it. Everybody's there for the same reason kind of stuff. The stuff I haven't really gotten too far into. I'm a kind of a big bourbon drinker, so I've only sort of gotten into there's a whole bourbon thread, like the non-golf threads that there's plenty of.
There's a lot of conversations in there.
Yes. Oh, right. All over the place. And it's like I
looked at it like a few.
And it's like I could get
overwhelming.
And I could probably. My problem is I could probably get lost in just about any of them, and so it's like I just have to like pick and choose because it's like I can't be checking like 8 different threads every day. So I got to pick like which 3 I'm really going to pay attention to.
You say you're a big fan. It seems like there's a heavy dose of sarcasm.
Oh yes, yeah,
in the thread. That's kind of required. It seems.
Yeah, it's a general
sure
a general topic of discussion.
Is this your first NLU/Refuge event?
Yeah. So they haven't really been around here too much. I have a good buddy of mine from college who lived in Pittsburgh, moved up to Chicago. Who went down and did the Sweetens Cove one, I guess it was like 3 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago. And so, and that was sort of, so his first event, and then this is my first one. And I think I obviously joined up sort of in the spring, summer. So I'd been taking in no laying up content prior to that, but hadn't really made the jump into the full sort of membership and that kind of stuff.
So they bang them out. I mean, they got tons of. They got like 4 podcasts. They've got at least 3 or 4 video series.
Yeah.
Which ones do you particularly? You listen to them all, or is there certain ones that you?
Yeah, I mean, the podcast stuff I definitely listen to. Trap Draw is usually pretty good. I'll listen to the main podcast usually I'll go back and kind of find stuff every once in a while. Go back on their old list, but probably the stuff I like the most is the YouTube stuff, especially Strapped, is just sort of like it's a very, very poor man's sort of, parts unknown. Like it's that going to a city, kind of finding some stuff out. And it's like, I don't mean any disrespect to say it's a poor man's version of that. That's, one of my favorite shows, but, and I think, the personalities of it, I think Neil and Randy are kind of pretty good, egalitarian kind of guys. Sure. And it's kind of just a fun way to look at golf in a different way. I grew up as a country club kid. I'm one of those private course golfers. But I love going out and playing. From the area, or where are you from? Yeah, so I'm from Arlington. Okay. So I'm a member at Army Navy Country Club. Oh, cool. My mom was in the Army. Yeah. We're down in, there's one campus in Arlington, one in Fairfax. Mm-hmm. Definitely the lower end of the spectrum is in terms of initiation fees. I'm now the swim coach there and have been for the last 13 years. So we swim, Congressional and Chevy Chase and Kenwood, and I make sure a couple of the other coaches are golfers, or at least some of the other parents. I try to make sure I get myself on a couple of the courses. So I've gotten to play Congressional with some people. I've gotten to play Kenwood and Chevy Chase, and Columbia's like a USAM course from way back when. Sure. It's too short for it anymore, but they're wonderful courses, obviously. It
sounds like some nice perks. So,
yeah, right.
So every person that's sat down here so far, and I think myself included, when I say, which one kind of stands out of the content that No Laying Up puts out, and everyone said Strapped. So my follow-up question to that is, they've come to Baltimore, they come to DC, they come to the DMV. What's their itinerary? Give me their 3 courses, and one of them's you can't give me all 3 in DC. Like, you got to give me a couple, at least 1 or 2 outside. DC.
There's only 3 in DC, to DC proper.
I've asked a few people so far, and everyone says East Potomac, Langston. I was like, everyone's.
So I really like Rock Creek. It's only a 9 holes, so I think the C-suite would probably get a little upset with that one. I think that's been an issue before. Maybe wait 5 years and see what National Links Trust does. You've got a hat on there, so. But you got to go to one of those. Maybe that's the first one in, fly into National, wherever. Mm-hmm. Get yourself in the city and, play Haynes Point. It's a solid muni. It is what it is. Langston I actually haven't played. Rock Creek I've played quite a bit. I played a bunch as a junior. And then one of the ones, and I don't know how far out they're allowed to go. Laurel Hill is a Fairfax County. We're in Lorton now. It's technically in Lorton, Virginia, but a Fairfax County park authority. It's the old Lorton prison.
Yep. They might have to play late afternoon to get them in their budget. But.
Yeah. Well, it's not too bad. You play. You play.
I forget what the strap budget is.
I was going to say it's like 500 for the. It's like, but if you, maybe they come in and play that. Maybe you fly into Dulles, go out there first, and play on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
It's a bear. Like that one's the 1-up tees are still gonna kind of roll you. So that one's a good one. And then there's a Blue Mash is a good one. It's kind of outside the city. It depends on I don't know what the sort of radius would be.
Whatever they want it to be.
Because it's one of those weird. It's if you're DC, there's really not that much golf in DC. There are only 3 courses.
You got the 3 in city, and then you've got kind of a ring of private clubs, and then you got to drive a little bit.
Right, and the ring, I was going to talk about. There's that middle ring. All the stuff right around the city is almost all private. There's just so much country club and so much. There's private school and country club is a big piece of DC. There's a lot of senators, a lot of so that kind of stuff. But
what about today? This event? Did you classic clubs or modern?
I was modern clubs. Yeah. It was mostly out of just, it was like I would have loved to play with classic. I'm definitely more of a field player. I think I would have done quite well. I won the long drive persimmon driver,
That's
so
right,
I was excited about that.
So you were playing modern clubs, and you just grabbed it because they had a persimmon sitting on the hole in case you didn't have classic. You just picked it up,
teed up a little lower, and
I was hitting a persimmon all day. I couldn't keep it in the fairway.
Well, I think the advantage was definitely the closest to the pin with the persimmons. We're like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen here. It's like let's try let 2 other guys tee off first, and it's like, all right, I think I've got an idea. But
that's funny.
It was. I would have loved to, but it's more just sort of like the time it takes. I would love to have a set just to play around with. I've only recently started kind of messing around with playing rounds from different at Army Navy. Obviously, having a club to play at, I have some advantages that I'm not paying for every round I play, so. I'll play a couple rounds from like the front tees, and it's a pretty fun day to work on your wedges or stuff like that, or
totally different shots, different experience.
Yeah, and or going out and doing a 5 club, playing with 5 clubs for 9 holes on a Wednesday afternoon kind of thing. And so I would love to go out and kind of play with some persimmon woods and just it's feel based. I don't
get some
know,
good ones. I brought out a crappy one, and I struggled.
But it's a lot of eyeball, and it's like I don't know. This feels like a 6-iron. It looks like a 6-iron to me.
Any outside of no laying up? Any? This is kind of a 2-part question. One, I'm trying to just gauge what is the appeal of no laying up? They're insanely popular. Why? And then 2, is there any other podcast that you're really into? And is one of those, or is it not for foreplay, and why?
So you mean like specifically with golf, right?
Golf. So just golf.
Probably the only other outside of No Laying Up golf podcast I listen to is Fried Egg, which is definitely a more sort of nerdy, like the golf course architecture, which it's been really fun to. It's something that you don't think about it, like the routing of stuff, and it's way sort of over your head when you first think about it, and then. You listen to a couple things and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get why you would do this or why you would do that. And it's really kind of interesting. And I enjoy now playing courses and being like, I really wish maybe if the tees had been there, or like, oh man, this was great. How they set this up or what they're making you think and play. But that's really the only other golf one outside of No Laying Up. And I think, with No Laying Up, I think it's one really helpful thing is, you've got 5+ guys, there's a lot of different personalities. I'm sure everybody's probably been annoyed with what, if you watch all of their stuff, annoyed with whatever Randy and Tron's bit, the most recent US Open, or maybe you agreed with them and were annoyed by DJ or whatever, but it's
like, they've got so much different content.
Right. It's just, and I also think that golf is I was a soccer player in high school as well, which in this area, sort of soccer fans very often end up being pretty close. It's like, well, you don't know soccer, it's like, and I think golf has a lot where it's like, well, there, are you a golfer or, do you, and their approach to golf is very similar to like and other sports, which is not normal for golf. So it's kind of like, oh, like you can just go
The
play
way they
golf
talk
and
about it is very accessible.
Exactly, yeah, and I think they're making what has been a fairly inaccessible sport pretty accessible to people and interesting to people, and things like I've been trying to get my parents. I'll walk with my parents. They're 64 and 65. And we'll walk. I've been trying to get them on push carts forever, and they're like, "No, we won't use push carts. That's ridiculous." And it's like, no, like I want you to understand. Like people my age use push carts. Like they're not like for just the old fuddy duddies.
Getting your parents to be part of the push cart mafia.
Yeah, exactly. I got my dad that T-shirt, and he's all about it. But it's my mom she's really pushing back. He'd love to not carry his bag, but he's not going to do it, and he's not going to take a push cart around while she's carrying a bag. That's. I listen to a lot of like Ringer podcasts.
Sure.
So I'll listen to every once in a while the Fairway Roll and like Joe House, and
Stay
it's
tuned.
a fun
He's
one.
going to be on this podcast in 2 weeks.
Is he really? Yeah. So he's pretty fun. I've listened to him in the House of Carbs and food stuff and
DC guy.
Yeah, and he's a so that's a fun listen.
Yeah.
And that one's very like PGA centric, and it's really only been this summer. I definitely watch the majors. I'll watch a golf tournament here and there. It's only been sort of recently that it's like, oh, like the week-to-week PGA kind of like being on it. That's a little bit more fun, and it was easier with less sports going on.
Yeah, no doubt.
But being sort of more of a golf fan than just a golfer, I guess, is sort of that. My dad's a lifelong golfer and golfer at a country club or whatever, and loves the no laying up stuff. And he's the one where we're out playing with somebody, and he's like, oh, my son turned me on to, this NLU thing. You should check it. They've got some YouTube stuff. They've got podcasts. It's great stuff. And it's, so it's like, that's a 65-year-old guy who's always been a golfer, somewhere between a 12 and 18 handicap, And I think that's really, they do quite a bit of stuff that's for normal golfers,
Any outside of anything we've mentioned so far, any public courses in the DMV that you find yourself at, or you're particularly fond of?
Well, if we can go back a decade, I used to love Augustine, which has come on some hard times in terms of the upkeep and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't been out there recently, but I've heard
it's been quite a few years, and they drainage problems but that used to be.
Fun design.
It was just there's a lot of holes where
the first two holes are
tremendous. There's the split fairway but it's also not tricked up. There's a big difference between having a bunch of different ways to play a hole and it's like, well, okay, there's two fairways, and it's like I can either, I kind of hate those par fours where you're essentially playing two par. I have to hit it to a fairway in this area and then hit to a green But I think that one, I haven't played it. I think it was like 5 years ago I played it, and it was struggling.
Yeah.
And I think they've gone through a couple different iterations.
Yeah.
I think same one as Reston National was a great one that had some issues with and they just got taken over by
Kemper Sports.
the group. Yeah, that's the Stream Song and that kind of group. So that's one that hopefully kind of comes back, just like a solid course, but.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Cool. Well, this has been great, Ian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, and pleasure to meet you. And glad you had a good round out there today. And congrats on the longest drive with Persimmon. And hope to tee it up with you sometime.
Just big swing and rip it. It tends to work out every once in a while.
That's right.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Adam.
Yes,
Adam, what's your? Are you willing to share your handle on the Refuge?
I am. I am the Red Menace.
The Red Menace.
Recent refugee joiner.
Okay.
So
Fairly recent. So
red hair, Seinfeld. I don't know if you've seen the Seinfeld episode where.
You know what? I pride myself on knowing Seinfeld really well, but I don't get the reference.
Well, the chicken roaster.
Oh yes.
Kramer's apartment.
Sure.
If Jerry finds out I like that chicken, I'm back in there with the Red Menace. So.
Was that Kenny?
That's me.
Kenny Rogers Roasters.
I don't think that Kenny Rogers has any idea what's going on now. Yeah. So that's at the Red Menace, and I'm, don't have a very extensive post history because I haven't been, Hadn't been on very long.
So, so how long have you been watching or listening No Laying Up?
Not long.
Not long.
Like
So
I
you're
said,
relatively new to even just
relatively new. I don't even know what I was watching. Saw Strap Baltimore in the sidebar on YouTube and watched it. Loved it. Watched all 3 right in a row. And I think I had been following, I guess, Solly, the main No Laying Up Twitter account, but had not really delved into the broader universe podcast videos or any of that. And took a road trip to Kentucky, where I'm from originally, in August, and listened to several podcasts on the way. Joe Buck, Jim Nantz, a couple others, and really, thought they were great. Thought Solly was a great interviewer, and Randy was funny. Just the whole thing. So
that's one of the things I'm asking here is, what's your take on, why are they so popular? Like, what is the appeal of the No Laying Up crew versus, the rest of golf media?
I tell you why I like them.
That's all that matters.
How popular they are. Who knows? Among the committed, because they're just nerdy enough, but not total gearheads, and especially Neil doesn't get too bogged down in equipment. I hadn't until the quarantine, when I was had copious internet time to blow money. I was had been playing the same set of clubs for years and years and years, so just making do, having fun. They're serious about their golf, but they don't take themselves too seriously, which I think is where where a lot of us are. Go out and want to have fun and know you can play better than you normally do, but doesn't get in the way of having a good time.
Sure. They pump out a lot of content. I mean, they've got several different podcasts. They have several different video series. Are there any ones that you are particularly more diehard over?
Yeah, I was kind of, I got, Strapped again was sort of my entree into into what they do, and I've watched all of those seasons now. I think mostly because of, Neil and Randy. That dynamic is a lot of fun. And trying to catch up on some of the Toro sauce and stuff, but I Strapped is my favorite by far so far. But I will say, I haven't seen everything, and I'm kind of making my way back through podcasts that kind of jump off the page. Peter Costas and some of the bigger names that they've had. And listen to the new ones. The Paul McGinley one was great. So, I'm working my way back through the catalog, so to speak, and getting into the deeper cuts.
So I agree. Strapped is I think Strapped is terrific. One of the things I was going to ask each of the folks today. Well, first off, are you based? Where are you based? Are you based in the DC area?
Silver Spring. Yeah.
Silver Spring. Okay.
So just north of.
And you've lived in the area how long?
15 years.
15 years. Okay.
I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky, and moved up here in 2005, and was in the Northern Virginia area for about 5 years, and then moved in with my now wife right at the end of 2010 to early 2011, and have been, on the hard off the Beltway in Silver Spring ever since.
Fairly avid golfer?
Well, my kids are 4 and almost 2, so we're just sort of now emerging from the kind of the little kid toddler fog where they require, constant attention. So
I hear you. I got
before that I was playing quite a bit. That all goes away when it's all babies all the time, and now I'm wanting to sort of get my game back in shape and got a little time to play some more. So
all right. So
I've always, you never play as much as you want, but you're trying to get back out there more often.
Sure. It's always the case. I've got a 4-year-old son at home myself. I know the drill.
They're a handful.
So the question is, all right, if the Strap boys have gone to Baltimore, but if they were to come to the DC area, what's your itinerary for them?
Got to be it's got to be. You have to play Haynes Point, just because you've never heard so many jet flyovers in your life. Although out here it gave you a little bit of a run for your money, but Haynes Point, East Potomac is just so kind of central to the public golf experience. Absolutely. In DC. It's got to be.
I think we'll get that answer a lot.
Langston the same way.
Yep.
A lot of history there.
Give me one outside of DC.
Outside of DC, that's tough. Maybe Enterprise out in PG County. I don't even know if they're still in.
Oh yeah, they're still going. There's some slow rounds out there, but
Yeah.
if we can get them out early.
Yeah. I might have said, I've broken 80 twice in my life.
Okay.
And both times I did it at Redgate Golf Course in Rockville, which
R.I.P.
I might have suggested that about. R.I.P.
Yeah.
A little piece of my history. I think it might also be cool. I see your National Links Trust hat.
Mm-hmm.
If in one day they could run up and play 9 holes of Sligo Creek and then down to Rock Creek Park as kind of a combo 18.
Sure.
They're not that far apart. It's actually where, with kids, where I've been sort of stealing most of my golf is at Sligo Creek, because you can hit every club in your bag. You can get around in under 2 hours. A friend of mine who's got kids in the same daycare as mine, we'll go out at 6:30 and play 2 hours, and it sort of leaves, you're only gone in a little bit in the morning. The heat from the wives is still pretty low level, and you can get some swings in.
It's a great little 9-hole course. I basically learned how to play on that course. And it's you can play it pretty quick.
And every time you go out there, you see juniors, you see old folks, you see walkers, you see riders, you see people of all races, beginners, people like us who I think are decent players trying to keep things sharp.
Since you live in Silver Spring, maybe you can fill me in a little bit. So I grew up in Montgomery County. I live in Virginia now. I follow some of the. There's a Facebook group. I think it's called Save Sligo. I could be wrong on that, or Friends of Sligo.
Yeah.
But I know with the widening of the Beltway, that's a hot issue to try to save Sligo Creek. Do you have any intel on that?
It is. I don't really have any intel. It is kind of a piece with a much broader kind of coalition of concerned citizens that either don't want, it could cost residences depending on how much land they need to take to widen the Beltway, and or they are just transit advocates who don't think that widening the Beltway is going to make a lick of difference, which I kind of sympathetic to that point. The more lanes you add, the more traffic you're going to end up with is really it.
Yeah.
And so, being hard along the Beltway, my understanding is that Sligo Creek used to be 18 holes, and when they built the Beltway originally, they took...
That's exactly right.
Half of it, which would be a shame, because there really aren't, other than East Potomac, which is not particularly handy to PG County, Montgomery County, even DC east of the river. It just cuts down on the places where you learn to play, places like I learned to play, which is Meadowbrook Golf Course in Lexington, Kentucky. The course that I probably learned on and play with isn't there anymore. It's been developed into housing, and
I'm sure that's the case
just,
with a lot of folks.
You got to have a place for kids to go and play and screw around. Nobody gets mad at them. That's how you learn, right?
I couldn't agree more. So what about today? So the event today was kind of a classic clubs option. Did you choose to play classic clubs?
I did. I'd spent, off and on the last couple of weeks making the rounds at some of the thrift shops, and found a few, some old Wilson goosenecks that
how did they
actually hit pretty good.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah. The persimmons I had not played much with, and they're a little whippy. More of the big left miss than the big right miss today.
That was me as well.
So, but I ended up shooting 91, and that's with a 10 on 9, or the lost ball, and another one in the shit. So, I was pretty pleased. It was fun, and
so
it was
your
a good bunch of guys.
Was your score with the classic clubs that far off if you were out here?
No, I don't think so.
How about that?
I mean, if it's also my first time on this golf course, period. Sure. So maybe you wouldn't have hit driver. I forget. I guess it must have been 9. I don't know. I lost a couple deep in the crud that I didn't really see from the tee.
Sure. So you've been in the DC area about 15 years. Outside of outside of Sligo, the course in DC, any personal favorites, or where you find yourself most often?
No, I mean, I mostly go wherever anybody is willing to play. The last couple of years, I've played Falls Road a few times, which I had not played previous to that.
Yeah.
And really any of the give that a second, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
And really, most of the Montgomery County courses are
pretty well run,
perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
So that's Northwest.
How does golf in the area compare to Lexington?
I think it's similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's probably more public golf available in Lexington and less kind of high end, courses. So less spread out just because you're not talking about quite as big of a region.
Yeah.
But,
cool.
climate's very much the same. The style of courses is very the same. So
very cool.
Similar in a lot of ways.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Adam. Pleasure to meet you. Glad you had a good round out there today.
Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely. I hope we can tee it up sometime. All right, Josh, what's willing to share your name in the Refuge or your handle in the Refuge?
My handle in the Refuge is the Golf Addict.
The Golf Addict,
yeah,
okay.
That basically describes how I am, just because I play...
Play quite a bit.
I play too much, probably.
So, Adam was just sitting here. You played with Adam today?
Yeah, I did.
And he said you hit some bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people hit it forward, but for myself, I was hitting it pretty good today. We saw fault.
Yeah. So where are you based?
I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland in Easton.
Okay.
So it's about at 40 minutes from the Bay Bridge.
Yep.
And about an hour and a half from Ocean City.
You got a hogneck golf course vest on. I love hogneck.
Yeah, I'm actually the club championship.
Oh, you really?
Club champion there.
How about that? So did you drive over here?
Yeah,
from Easton?
I drove over here this morning.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, no laying up. How have you been involved, or are you pretty active in the Refuge? Or
I joined the Refuge this January, but I've been a fan of no laying up for 2.5, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
But I didn't find out about the Refuge until sometime late last year. Sometimes I can be a little can't notice things.
Yeah, sure.
So, but this is my first no laying up event I've done. But
it seems like this is one of the first ones they've had in this area.
Yeah, most of them, from what I can tell, have been in the Carolinas or down south where I don't really try going all the time.
Yeah. So, no laying up. I mean, they pump out a lot of content. They've got a handful of podcasts. They've got a handful of video series. Any ones that you are particularly listen to most often?
I listen to both of the podcasts. The Trap Culture is not even really a golf podcast because they'll just talk about like which grocery stores they like and like certain tour stops.
I heard that was the Atlanta one. I listened to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And on the YouTube side of things, I really like the Strap series where they go to a location, they have $500 for like two nights and 3 rounds of golf.
Yep.
Even though it's the shortest of the series they do, it's just so good.
So here's a question for you. So I was going to ask each guy kind of, all right, if they came to the D.C. area, if Strapped came to the D.C. area, what would their itinerary be? But since you're an Eastern Shore guy, give me the Eastern Shore, anything east of the Bay.
Okay.
Give me the Strap boys. They come to
anything like including Delaware.
Yeah, give me the 3 courses they're going to play.
All right. I gotta think on budget wise as well. I think I would put Hogneck in there because I think when you look at the budget they usually spend, that's right in their budget.
Okay.
It's got a very easy front 9. The back's like completely different. It's completely tree lined.
Yep.
So that's one.
It's a great course. Underrated. Not a lot of people know it.
Yeah. I've played there all my life. Like literally, that's where I wanted to play.
We got the club champion here at Hogneck. Come on.
Let's see. Anything east of the... I mean, Ocean City Golf and Yacht can occasionally have...
You can get a deal.
Good deals. If you find it, you can find it for $40, which for the one course there, Newport Bay, you have 2. Newport Bay for $40 is like almost a steal.
That sounds like a perfect one.
And that's 2.
Yeah.
I think of a third one.
That's all right. I'm not going to put you on the spot. They can figure out when they go.
If they ever did it.
What about any? You got anyone west of the Bay that you want to throw in there?
West of the Bay? I mean, I really like renditions.
There you go.
It's like it's all like redone holes of like the Augusta and
yeah.
St. Andrews. No.
That'd be a fun one. I've never seen them play a kind of a replica hole course to see how
That would be
break
interesting
that
just to see.
Sure.
I mean, they hit some good ones in Baltimore, I felt like.
Yeah. Yeah, the Baltimore one was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, did you play classic clubs or did you play modern?
I played modern. I was going to play classic clubs. I had to set up a whole set of stuff I just found laying around the house and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll play it from once or twice before this, just so I can try to get an idea.
Sure.
Never had the time to do it, so I was like, I'm just going to play with my modern stuff today.
How'd you hit them?
I shot 83, and I was 9 over on the par 3s, including the 8 on the opening hole, so that was it was an experience to start. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But besides the par 3s, I felt like I played pretty decent for the most part.
That sounds like a pretty good round to me. What? So one of the things I'm trying to figure out here is, I'm a fan of No Laying Up. I listen to a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I want to hear from you. Like, why do you think they're so popular? Like, what is the appeal of this crew and these guys compared to like other golf media? Like, do you listen to other golf podcasts, or is it just these guys? Like,
it's mainly I've listened to some other ones, but it's mainly just the No Laying Up guys. I just really mesh with their personalities. I like some of their takes they have on like broadcasting and all that. I agree a lot with it. And I think their editing and all that they do on their videos is top notch. It's really good.
Yep. And
the videos, like, I never feel like I get bored watching them.
Yeah.
They always feel fresh to me.
Interesting. Yeah. Very cool. Any tips on so Hog Neck? That's your local course?
Yes.
Love it. You play Queenstown much?
Not much. Occasionally. I just don't feel like spending. I mean, it's a great course, but like for the river, it's 120, I think.
Yeah.
If that's not non-twilight, I just don't. I do like it, but it's not one I frequent a lot. I might play one of them soonish, but we'll see.
Last question for you. I'm trying to see if anybody has an opinion on this, and if not, I'll just edit it out. But do you have any opinion? It seems to me the two of the most popular podcasts around golf are the series, the different series of No Laying Up, but also the Barstool Sports one, Foreplay.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be there's not a lot of overlap. So I guess my question for you is, do you have an opinion on that? And if so, what's the difference between someone that's a follower of No Laying Up and someone who's maybe a follower of Foreplay?
Okay, for No Laying Up, I think it's more for the serious golfer. I'm not saying none of the Foreplay guys are serious, because the main guy, Riggs, he does go around and play all over the place. But it's more for like the weekend warriors and all that.
Yeah.
Which is, I've listened to the podcast before. It's not bad. It's just okay. It's not my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. I just feel like for No Laying Up, it's more like for like me. It's just like that's how I feel about stuff, and that's how I feel about the game. It's just more. I'm hardcore about it.
Sure.
When Foreplay isn't. It's harder. It's a
little different. That'll work. That works. Josh, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
I'd love to teed up at Hogneck with you at some point.
Sounds great.
And glad you made it out to Westfields in this event and had a good round.
It was fun. Great
awesome.
time.
Good to meet you. Ryan, are you willing to? You don't have to. Are you willing to share your handle in the Refuge?
I mean, it's super anonymous. My last name, Logan RV. I haven't come up with a creative one yet.
Logan RV. Yeah, man.
I'm thinking about it. After this weekend, I need to come up with one.
Come up with something a little more ironic.
Yep, exactly.
There seems to be. I was just talking with one of the other guys. It seems to be there's a heavy dose of sarcasm and irony in the Refuge. That seems to be a requirement to have that kind of sense of humor.
Right, and I don't have that kind of sense of humor, so I need some help.
Are you pretty active in the Refuge?
I do a lot of reading. Don't do a lot of posting. Like that,
Who's doing all the posting? Everybody I talk to is just they I've heard. I'm a lurker. I read.
Exactly.
I haven't met anybody that claims they do a lot of posting.
Every now and again, like the trips section, we talk about the trips and stuff. But that's really it.
Have you done any other events, like even outside of the DC area, with that group?
No, but I'm going down to Pinehurst for the Donnybrook in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to that.
That's the Donnybrook. I don't even know. Is that a No Laying Up event? Oh, nice. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the outskirts. I love all the No Laying Up stuff and watching their stuff. I've listened to a lot of it. The Refuge, I'm fairly new to the Refuge as well, and I got invited out here, and I've been reading a lot of the stuff in there. And it's, there's some of the threads are laugh out loud funny.
They are. They really are.
So where are you based?
Richmond, Virginia.
Rich, did you drive up for this?
I did. Well, so my buddy from law school, he lives in Philadelphia, and it's this kind of middle ground for the two of us, and we haven't seen each other since March, so it's a good middle ground to meet up and play golf and hang out. So
awesome.
Yeah, spent a whole kind of weekend together doing it.
I love it. Did you guys do classic clubs today or no?
We did we kind of bought into those things and did the long drive, the closest to the pin we played.
I got you. So you played modern clubs, but you were able to do the
right.
What was it? You did longest drive, the persimmon.
Yep.
Closest to the pin.
And then there's something.
Was there another one?
I think there was straight drive.
Straight drive.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
How'd you do on those?
It was long, it just wasn't straight.
Listen. I played classic. I had a persimmon. I was in the left woods more often than I care to admit.
Agreed. I was there with you.
It was brutal.
If we were playing together, we'd be searching together.
I took a lot of penalty strips. Oh man.
Yep.
So this is your first. So Richmond. Wow. So one of the questions I was going to add, I'm asking a lot about DMV courses, but let's talk Richmond.
Okay.
I've played a little bit down there, but I've played Independence and Belmont's getting redone, and that's going to be excited. Any intel on Belmont? What's the latest there?
Well, it hosts the 1949 PGA Championship. Sure. I'm sure you knew that. Yeah. Tillinghast design, and they're trying to revert it back to the Tillinghast design and adding those cool bunkers. They're putting in a par 3 course, and they're doing all kinds of number 7 at Wingfoot last week. They're putting in one of those there.
Oh wow!
I think he's got one in San Francisco.
Is it David Love Designs doing it, right?
Yep, they're renovating it. It's awesome. I played it and played pretty well. It's an enjoyable little layout, short course, but it should be cool when they're done with it.
Any courses in other than the couple I just mentioned in the Richmond area that folks from up this way need to check out, or maybe are under the radar?
Yeah.
I'll change the question up for a minute. Before I even ask you the question of what NLU podcasts and series content you like the most.
Okay.
Everybody's already been saying Strapped, and so I've been asking, okay, what if the Strap came to DMV? What if Strap came to Richmond?
Okay.
What's their itinerary?
Certainly Belmont. When Belmont's done, I think it's run by the county, and now First Tee's involved with it. So it's a cheap ticket, and it's a fun layout. So I'd definitely throw that on there. After that, Richmond's not great with
I should have prepped everybody with this question. I'm kind of springing it on people.
Richmond doesn't have great public golf. Strapped, they're not playing Independence because that's a high ticket.
Yeah, it's public, but it's
public.
They might have to find after dark.
Yeah, they're not going out to dinner that night. So definitely Belmont. But I can't.
What if they can get out outside of Richmond a little bit, even Williamsburg or up a little bit?
There's a course probably 35 minutes outside of Richmond. It's called Magnolia Green. Okay. It's a fun layout. It's usually in really good shape. It's probably going to be about $60, so it's a little bit higher end of the budget.
I've never played that one.
It's fun. It's out Chesterfield area.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other course is another high dollar one. Mike Strant's design, very reminiscent of Tobacco Road, Royal New Kent.
Yeah.
It's a test.
Yeah, that I've played. That's a fun course. If anybody hasn't gotten down there, go do it. It'll kick your ass, but it's fun.
That's where we had our high school state championship, and let's just say no one broke par.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you played high school golf in the Richmond area?
I did. I went to a little Catholic school in Richmond, Benedictine.
Nice.
And so it was our state Catholic championship.
How about that? At Royal New Kent.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of kids praying that day.
I love it.
Yep.
So this is your first event related to no laying up, but you're going to do the Donnybrook.
Yep.
You did modern clubs. So one of the things I'm trying to figure out, I think we all kind of know the answer, but just kind of get your take. Why no laying up? Why? What's the appeal? Why are they so popular?
I think it's because they're so relatable to people, but they're like the golf enthusiasts that are relatable to our games. It's I like to say I'm reminiscent of Icarito. I can I go really fly close to the sun. I can get to par and then it just falls apart. I hit it far like Neil. I don't know. I think they're very relatable, but also like the super golf. They know everything about golf, but they're just relatable.
The Icarito, I don't know if you'd even call that a character or just a moniker, but that's certainly the most relatable, I think, for most golfers.
Yeah.
Regardless of what your handicap is. Mm-hmm. It's the idea of having a really good round, whatever a really good round is to you.
Yep.
And then it getting in your head a little bit as you come down the stretch. And
You know it's
blowing.
coming. You know it's coming.
It happens to everybody.
Yep.
So they also pump out tons of stuff. We talked about straps, but anything else that you kind of are a devotee of?
Sure. I love tourist sauce. It is not because I planned it, but I was in Ireland on the same itinerary as them, just kind of a few days off while they were filming Ireland. So that was kind of cool. And I also was at Pinehurst a couple of years ago when they did the Carolina series. So I actually met DJ, Solly, and Tron while they were filming that. And so I like those. Get to see the courses that I played and get to see them play, and they kind of feature it. So it's fun to watch that.
No laying up is extremely popular, kind of influential in this kind of new golf media. I don't know, if that's a thing, but that's, I guess, what I'm talking about here. Any other kind of podcast or kind of video series that you're into that are not, kind of the new breed?
I might dabble a little bit in the Barstool one, but I just don't. They're not as relatable as the No Laying Up guys. I like this. They're good drone work. I like the videos and the pictures they post, but it's just not as relatable.
Yeah, that was one of the things I'd ask, and maybe I was creating this in my head because I didn't get a lot of feedback from the other guys. It almost seems like the followers and fans of No Laying Up and those of Barstool's Foreplay, which is also massive. I mean, it's also one of the top rated golf podcasts, but it doesn't seem like there's an overlap.
Right.
But maybe I'm wrong.
I think, I don't know exactly what it is in my head, but it's like, I think they're more of just kind of like the fan. They're certainly Tiger fanboys, and they just don't seem like they are the enthusiasts that I think most of the No Laying Up people would relate to.
Yeah.
They kind of are on the fringe, if you will, of golf, and kind of just skirt the surfaces, and they don't dive deep into, I don't know, the nitty gritty of golf. And
yeah, I got you. So do you get up to play golf in DC much at all?
Not typically. I've come a couple years in a row now just to play a round or two up here, but not very often. It's fortunate that this was here and we could meet up together and get a couple rounds. We haven't seen each other in a while. So,
what about just in general throughout the state of Virginia? Any other courses we haven't mentioned that should be on people's radar?
Public wise, I think
or not. Not be public.
Okay. Well, certainly, I'm sure you've heard of Valley Hack.
Sure.
That's a big one. I've never played it, but I've heard a lot about it. I think the one public-wise that's drivable from Richmond, it's nice, is Spring Creek, associated with Federal Club. So they got a brother-sister program.
Yeah.
Very nice little track. It's long.
But Spring Creek is, am I getting this right? Is it private on the weekends but public during the week?
I think that's right. I think you get a tee time on the weekdays. But I'm not quite sure. I haven't played there in a while.
Me and my regular foursome just got down there a few weeks ago, and we rented the scooters.
Yeah. Oh, they have them there. I've been looking for those.
I recommend them.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
The scooters, they've got four scooters. So if you're going as a foursome, you got to call ahead.
Okay.
But I recommend it.
I really want to get on this.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing it in every round, but it exceeded our expectations as far as the fun factor.
Makes the play faster.
Yeah, I guess a little bit.
Yeah,
but it was just fun.
Along the same lines, I mean, like the having to ride in the car by yourself now. I think that certainly is.
But even one of the guys in our foursome is closer to 60 than 50, and he was a little bit apprehensive about the safety of it or just getting on it, and we convinced him to do it. And in the first fairway, he's having the time of his life.
He's back to being a 20-year-old.
Yeah, it was great.
That's cool.
Very cool. Do you still play competitive golf at all?
I every now and again, maybe a tournament here or there, but no. I would love to. I wish I practiced more.
What were your thoughts on Westfields today?
It's a fun layout. It's tough going to a course that you have no clue, and it's kind of you don't know where the lines are. So you hit a great drive, and you took me 40 yards to the wood. You just didn't realize the woods were that good. So,
yeah. But it's tough that first time around.
Yeah, it was a fun track. I'd definitely come back and play it again.
Being up from Richmond, so one of the things it's only whatever it is, 75, 80 miles down I-95.
Right.
In the DC area, courses have gotten beat up pretty badly this summer.
Yeah.
And some courses have really struggled as far as maybe is that the same case in Richmond?
I know rounds are up in a million. Yeah. It's tough to find a tee time at the club I belong to. You have to be on as soon as the tee time's open up. They've kept it in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's been played.
You buried the lead. You don't have to tell us, but what's looking going here?
Salisbury Country Club. They both in Richmond. Just outside of Richmond.
Never been. Pretty nice place.
Yeah, they got 3 nines. They opened a third 9 in 2003. It's a little bit of a different layout, but it's a good change of pace. So it's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'll have to check it out sometime. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. And I'm glad a fun event came up, and hopefully maybe when we get down to Richmond, we'll see them.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good beach ride.
Yeah, good to meet you.
All right, cool.
Hey man.
Ron, what's happening?
Not much.
So let me first of all, I appreciate you joining me and talking a little bit about no laying up, the Refuge, and who knows, maybe a little. We'll see what you know about DC golf as well, or if you've ever been up this way. But let me start. This might be no laying up 101, and I apologize in advance.
That's fine.
But Tron Carter. So Todd Schuster, Todd Carter. What's the background there? Where the
yeah? So Tron, so Todd Schuster, obviously my birth name, my given name. My mom, my wife call me Todd. But yeah, Tron. It's a character. It's a recurring character from Chappelle Show. And I had buddies in college start calling me that, and it just kind of stuck. So it kind of goes to show you just how. How when we started this thing, we had no intention of it turning into whatever it's turned into. And, I think if we had set out to start whatever this is, then I don't think it would have been successful. I think it's been successful because we didn't really have any expectations, and it happened so naturally.
That's cool. So I'm having you on here because I got invited out to a Refuge event here locally in Clifton, Virginia at Westfields Golf Club by a bunch of refugees, as they call themselves, who are all participants in on the no laying up message boards, the Refuge. And they had a really fun tournament. I interviewed 4 different willing participants that wanted to hop on a podcast and talk a little bit about, what they like about or why they love no laying up, and kind of a little bit about the Refuge. And I thought you'd be the perfect person to come on here because of the 5 guys in no laying up, you're kind of the am I wrong in thinking you're the biggest participant in the Refuge?
I think we all kind of go in and out. The Refuge has it's taken on a life of its own. It's become, far more than just a message board. I think it's kind of become just a community. And it's cool to see events like this start popping up where, taking that community from online to out in the real world. I think that's been kind of the coolest facet of COVID was like, we had all these events kind of centralized for 2020 and planned out where we were going to be running them and, travel bans and all that stuff. It was more kind of more decentralized, guys in different, guys and ladies in different areas of the country and even different countries have kind of coalesced and really organize their own events. But so I think, Randy, DJ, Solly, Neil, they're all pretty active on there. I would say I'm probably the most, there's certain neighborhoods of the Refuge I don't go in. There's certain threads that I won't visit. We try to keep the politics contained to like one thread, or COVID talk contained to like the COVID thread. But yeah, there's a host of different areas where each of us kind of participates. And, Randy's got his book club on there. I'm more into like there's a Refuge wine club, Refuge cooking.
Oh, wow.
We've got, kind of a merchandise side of things.
I have not found those neighborhoods yet.
There's 4 or 5, levels deeper than you think there is. It's crazy.
Do you have numbers on like how many people are in the Refuge participating?
Yeah, I think, it's probably, there's a few thousand kind of active daily users. It's probably split half and half between people who are active, like posting. And then, there's a lot of lurkers and just people who have accounts that are, just kind of either dipping their toe in and contributing here and there, or, not contributing at all, but following along every step of the way.
So a massive part of what No Laying Up is all about is travel golf and going to far-flung places, some exotic, some not so exotic in the case of the Strap Series. You guys have some events that where the refugees and participants and followers of No Laying Up can qualify for. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, really, we've got some that anybody can sign up for. So there's kind of three types of events. We've got the ones that are put on that kind of organically come about with just pop up on the message board. People say, hey, I've rented out this course for the day, or I got a block of tee times here, show up. And then there's the ones that we organize ourselves, where like we did one at Sweetens Cove recently. We're planning a whole slate of them for next year. We've got a big group going to Scotland together. So, some that are kind of officially organized by us. And then there's a year-end tournament called the NIT, the Nest Invitational Tournament, and the Nest is kind of our membership thing. So, and that'll be basically everybody from all these different qualifiers, whether they're Refuge organized or organized by us, can qualify in to get to the NIT, which is in a few weeks here in Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
That's the one that they referenced quite a bit at the local one here. Was there I think they used as the qualifier for the DMV one, instead of an actual score, it was a costume.
Exactly.
And they're doing some like old timey dress up stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's been a fun part of it, where if people don't want it to be too competitive at their event and want it to be more focused on the community or on, we try to always have a charitable element too. So but basically making it so it's more about the camaraderie and the experience than maybe grinding over a 5-foot putt. People have the option to kind of structure the competitive element outside of golf if they want to.
And so then you just touched on the Nest is kind of your paid portion to try to support everything that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
How's that been going?
It's good, man. We've got we've had it going on for about a year now. People had always kind of said, hey, why don't you guys have like a Patreon, or why don't you do something like that? And we figured, all right, like we've got the merchandise stuff rolling. So Nest people get a 15% discount on anything in the pro shop. They get first crack at all the events. As far as signups, like the first event we did last year in Denver, that sold out. We had 125 spots. It sold out in like 3.5 minutes. So, we figured, all right, there's a lot of demand for this. So we got to figure out how to, make sure that kind of the right people are getting in. And it's $90 a year. And I think, if you're buying as much stuff as some of these people are from the pro shop and signing up for these events, it kind of pays for itself. But yeah, and then the other thing we really use it for is like Strapped. We don't want to put commercials or advertisements or sponsors on Strapped. I feel like that's kind of our most organic, niche thing that we do, and kind of pure thing that we do. And we don't want to overload that with ads or even the podcast or any of our other videos. Like we try to make everything pretty, pretty low touch as far as, a minute of ads, 2 minutes of ads, or organic placement, instead of beating you over the head with 6 ad placements in a 45-minute episode.
Yeah. I was just watched a couple last night, and you certainly don't notice the ads if they're there. They're not certainly overwhelming. You guys also got into are you guys in the Airbnb game at Sweetens Cove?
Yeah. It's actually not on Airbnb yet. We've just been booking it through birdhouse.nolayingup.com. We bought a house at Sweetens Cove in Tennessee.
The demand is that high that you don't even have to go to like Airbnb or anything like that.
Yeah, so far it has been. I mean, I'm sure we're getting into the slow season here, kind of November, December, January, February, and then it'll kick back up. So we may throw it on there for now, but yeah, there was nowhere to stay near the course, and it's people like to drink when they're out at Sweetens, so we figured, hey, like there was this actually Solly hit a ball into the front yard of this house. It's right across the street from the first green at Sweetens, so we figured it was for sale. We looked into it and it made sense from a business perspective, so we bought it. I
love it. I was looking at some pictures, the picture of you guys, Big Randy and Icarito and all the walls.
Yeah, and then Rob Collins, one of the architects who did Sweetens, he brought a bulldozer up there and did a tee box for us. So there's a tee box from the front porch of the house out to the first green.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. So we got a limited time here. So let me ask you a couple questions. Have you been to the DC area?
I have, yeah. I've been a lot actually. In college, I dated a girl for a year or two that was from Potomac, Maryland. So went up there a few times. Every time I would make her take me to Bethesda Crab House, and I would just sit there and eat crabs till my hands bled. It was like the all you can eat kind of thing. And then I worked for Marriott and Ritz-Carlton for almost a decade. So, corporate was up there. I was with Marriott corporate for the last 3 years of it. So would go to corporate, a couple times a year. And then my wife actually, she worked for Ritz-Carlton when we first met, and she would go help that hotel. She went to help the Ritz on M Street, downtown DC. A couple times.
Absolutely. I think that's the Ritz that when Jordan played for the Wizards, he basically lived in that Ritz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all sorts of, political, a lot of the time you got to go through a metal detector, or, all sorts of stuff just to get in the hotel. There's all sorts of people staying there. But did you get any rounds in when you're up here? You know what? I didn't. I've been out to Avenel before for a practice round, but I've never, come to think of it, I've never played golf in Maryland, or actually, no, I take that back. I've played golf at the Naval Academy course. That's the only place I've played. Yeah, and I know they just got renovated, but real nice. I know they're finishing up. We're just finished a renovation. Yeah, fun little place. Loved that course. But yeah, that was the only place I played. Is so the big news around here in DC, and it's become national news. And in fact, just yesterday, I interviewed one of the co-founders. Is the National Links Trust project of the 3 municipal courses in DC. Is that on No Laying Up's radar? Yeah, it's funny you mentioned. I was actually talking to Neil, and I were talking to Will. We had a call with him a couple weeks ago, and we're actually producing. We're going to sell some towels, and all the proceeds will go to. We'll do NLU towels and National Links Trust logo on there, in our store, and all the proceeds will go to supporting that endeavor. And we're hoping to get up there, do some video content, and do some podcasts around that too. So it's definitely something we want to support. Awesome. Yeah, Will is who I interviewed yesterday. So this is going to be this week's show, and Will's going to be next week's show. Perfect. Yeah, and then actually there's down the road from you guys in Richmond too. They're doing some cool stuff down at Belmont too. Yeah. So trying to shine a light on that too. Absolutely. Oh, that's exciting. So that's cool. So you guys have some DC travel plans in the future. So maybe we can sync up. And then the other one's obviously PGA Tour. You do one of your big podcasts is Trap Draw. Unfortunately, DC has lost our regular event, but the BMW Championship's coming to Baltimore next year. I was going to say, you got the one at Cayers Valley next year, so we'll do kind of a Beltway area trap draw next year, I'm sure. So. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah, hopefully you can include some DC Beltway in that, and not just focus on the wire for an hour and a half. Yeah, we already did the wire one. We had a big wire podcast. Okay. Probably 6 months ago now. So I turned on your current season of Tourist Sauce in Oregon, and I was watching. I'm forgetting the name. Is it Gearhart, the course? Yeah, that was episode 2 last week, Gearhart. Yeah, so my brother actually lives in Portland, so I can't wait to get out there and go play that. I've never played Gearhart, but I saw you swinging left-handed, and I'm like, man, I know I've watched these videos before. I don't remember him being left-handed. And I looked on your Twitter page. You're playing left-handed for a year. Yeah, I'm about 5 months into it. Just kind of, I don't know why I'm doing it. Kind of a combination of factors. We did like a left-handed challenge thing kind of during in April or May when kind of everything was shutting down. We couldn't travel. I'm like, hey, let's film some stuff here at home. So did that, and I don't know, I really enjoyed like the challenge of it. And my son Freddie is a lefty, I think, so kind of knowing how to teach him as we go along here. And I think long term it's actually going to help me right-handed. I think I've got the driver straightened out left-handed. That was the biggest challenge at first. But I'm legitimately chipping better left-handed than I do right-handed. Really? That's interesting. There's probably some psychology to that. Yeah, I don't think I have any bad habits. Everything's new. I don't have any scar tissue either. Like I don't have any PTSD on that front. And then also, like, I think my being right-handed and right-eye dominant, I think, you know, having my right hand be the lead hand instead of being the trail hand and trying to do too much as the trail hand.
Interesting.
So yeah, so it's been fun. I've, you know, gotten down in the mid 80s a couple times. Goals to break 80. So we're getting there. I haven't been able to play. I actually haven't played since we had an event at Sweetens in September, and before that I hadn't played since Oregon in August. I've been having some back problems due to the difference between right-handed and left-handed.
So are you literally like not swinging a club right-handed at all?
Correct. Yeah, I'm not doing anything right-handed all year. So, and
yeah,
I think
that's impressive commitment.
Yeah, it's been, you know, I figure it's either all or nothing, because if I don't go in all the way, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm not gonna get over those humps. I'm not gonna. But it's kind of brought me back to playing, you know, like what it was like when I first started playing golf. First time I broke 90. First time I broke 85. You know, it's like setting a personal best here or there. Sure. You know, it's been super fun. And then I think long term I'll probably keep a left-handed wedge, if not two, in the bag, just to chip left-handed and probably putt left-handed too.
Wow, that's interesting. That's kind of cool. That is pretty. What's your have you been inching the handicap down a little bit, left-handed?
Yeah, I'm at 17. I think 17.1 right now. But yeah, we're kind of just entering golf season down here in Florida. It's finally cooled off. So, you know, October through April is kind of our main golf season here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so goal is to get it down in the single digits here in the next 3 or 4 months.
Got it. Well, two things before I let you go. One, keep up the good work on Twitter. I saw it's when I pulled up your Twitter account right before you hopped on, and first off, I hadn't heard about Jeffrey Toobin. You had posted something about, I guess OJ was calling out Jeffrey Toobin. I was like, what did he do? I'm like, oh my goodness. So that's kind of hilarious. But also you're not afraid to mix it up with some hot takes and about like Omar Aresti and
that one blew up yesterday. Which I've been kind of complaining about that for 3 or 4 years now. Ever since I think he won the regular Club Pro championship in 2017. Yeah. And then that got him into Quail Hollow for the PGA that year. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like he's played 600 events on the pro, you know, between the Korn Ferry Tour or whatever they were calling it at the time and the PGA Tour. If that's the case, like, you know, you're a touring professional. You're not a club professional. And, you know, I know he found a loophole in the rules and all that, and he's paid dues to the PGA of America, but I don't know, it just seems a little bit off to me.
Well, I mean, that's obviously one of the reasons No Laying Up is so popular, because all of you, but yourself especially, are not afraid. Don't shy away from some of these, you know, tweeting out what you actually think, whether they be controversial or not. Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're not directly part of the Strap Show, or maybe you are more so than we realize, but any talk, I know they came to Baltimore, but we'd love to have the Strap Boys in DC.
Yeah, I think I love the Baltimore app. You know, I had some concerns about their budget in Baltimore, seeing them eat crab the whole time, and, you know, drinking some nice beers with KVV. So I have no doubt that they were some under the table shenanigans there. But yeah, I think eventually, especially once the National Links Trust stuff gets done, getting them back to DC, because I know that's a totally separate ecosystem from Baltimore. But yeah, I try to keep my C-suite hands off of the off of the strapped itineraries.
Well, I'm excited. I know tonight we're recording this on a Wednesday. This is going to come out on a Friday, and I think it's episode 3 of your Oregon tourist sauce with the origin of Bandon. This is coming out tonight, so I'm excited to watch that tonight. Yeah, so that one will basically it kind of follows the road trip down the coast, down the Pacific Coast Highway from Gearhart down to Bandon, and a lot of interview with like Mike Kaiser about kind of the genesis of the idea, and then just kind of an overview of how it's evolved over the years, and kind of sets the stage for the next 5 episodes after this one. Each one will be focused on one of the singular Bandon courses. Very, very cool. Well, excited to watch. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule and hopping on here. Yeah, Alex, thank you, man. Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully when the team comes up to DC to pay respects to National Links Trust and everything going on, we'll link up.
Absolutely. Would love to get out and play. I think we'll be up there at least a couple times in the next 12 months. So
nice. Awesome.
Get out.
Awesome, man. Well, good to meet you and keep up the good work.
You too, man. Thanks.
Awesome.
I got to get Johnny Wags' ideas. I don't have a good golf game, but I don't really care. I'm a regular dude living in DC, and I want to know about DC-centric golf stuff. If you can tell me something that I don't already know, then that is great for me. I don't want the regular stuff. I want exciting stuff. I want different stuff. I want stuff I can't hear elsewhere. But I want it to be about DC golf.